This episode of Shootin The Shiznit is brought to you by WeHaveMerch.com. WeHaveMerch.com. Standard size shirts at only $12.99. Shirts include I'm a Shiznitter, my old buddy, Cool Kids Countdown logo, Shootin The Shiznit logo, Happy Shiznit Day, and many more. Order your shirt today at WeHaveMerch.com.
Have you listened to episode 92? Well, here's a clip. Listen to it in all the archives at www.stspod.club.
Oh, yeah, everybody.
I have found some of the weirdest stuff that, we got people. It's stranger than it used to be when everyone scratches your back, and that's what Probe the Pod's about, you coming on and us talking about each other, me talking about your podcast, trying to get some listeners to your podcast. But when I did newsletters, we always traded newsletters. There's podcast people out there that just take themselves, a little too damn serious, especially guys at our level, and they think that, because they got, X amount of podcast downloads, and they're just, it's drama. And the drama was hilarious to me. So,
and you're from that's right, you are, because I remember at one time you and me were both writing columns. I remember that stage of the business.
Right.
That was really fun. And I think the reason that I did not succeed in that, like I feel like I have the opportunity to do with podcasts and things, is because when you're reading the words on the page, you can't hear the tone of voice I take. And I'm a smart ass most of the time. I don't mean to be an asshole or anything like that, but sometimes the way I word things and the way my just natural personality is, I can come off as a bit of a smart ass. If you're not there to hear the inflection in my voice when I talk, and when I would write my columns, I would do them. I would kind of just do them in my head as if it were me talking to somebody. And I think a lot of times I rubbed a lot of people the wrong fucking way.
Well, Dustin, I did the website for 5 years, and I just really didn't give a fuck. So, I was always a huge fan, sarcasm there, of Mississippi wrestling and everything.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Let's start the party.
And she says, I wish that I could be like the cool kids, 'cause all the cool kids, they seem to fit in. I wish that I could be like the cool kids.
All right, I'm going to bring on my co-host for the Cool Kids Countdown. I'm live from STS Studios, and I have Lance, Mr. Divine, Lance LeVine.
I'm here in the Bisquick Studios, back to Bisquick again, here in Chicago. So,
man, you can't keep a sponsor. What the hell's up with that?
No, they just keep on volunteering to want to sponsor the show. So, I mean, we should be flattered that we got Sixlets and Skittles and Bisquick all wanting to sponsor the show. The show is hot, man. We're all in.
I just thought they were pulling their sponsorship for all those tweets when you're talking about hipsters, So if anyone doesn't know this and you're a hipster and you're listening to this, Lance hates you. I just thought I'd let you know.
Yeah.
That. One reason he hates you is because if you follow him on Twitter, and he's going to tell you just in a minute, he's seen a lady actually wiping her dog's ass after a poop today. And so... that lady, I don't even want to talk about it. That is just, I could not believe you tweeted that. I'm thinking you're making shit. I think you're making shit up. I really do.
I wish I could have filmed it. It was this cute little, pug. And this lady on top of it, she had a stroller. I'm like, you're taking away attention from your kid to wipe the dog's ass because the dog just pooped. And meanwhile, the husband is just standing there. And I'm like, okay, there's just so much wrong with this picture. So. Anyway, you digress.
No, go ahead. Tell us how to reach you on Twitter, because we always forget
on
this.
Twitter, it is @Chocolatier_LL. And yes, it's an inside joke. I used to manage for Godiva, so they called us Chocolatiers. That's the explanation for that. And we all thought it was so stupid. So Chocolatier_LL. So CHOCOLATIERLL on Twitter. So you can follow all my snarky bullshit talking about hipsters and everybody else.
And as always, I'm at Comic Book Mark BT. Hey, we want to thank y'all. Me and Lance were just in total shock this past week. I came up with an idea, threw it at Lance. Lance, I love this, the Meltzer Trolls thing. And we just had a really good time recording it. Actually, when we got done recording it, I said to Lance, I didn't think that went so well. He said, I did. Don't you remember me saying
you did.
that?
You did. I remember telling you you're wrong.
Yeah, and you listened to it again the next day, and you said, man, it was really good. And then we had, all of a sudden, in 4 days, we went from, 0 to, I think we're in 4th place now with over 40,000 downloads for that episode. So, amazing. We had the biggest day ever last Saturday. I thought it was going to be the biggest Saturday ever, but it was actually the biggest day ever in downloads. Lance, you can say thank you, and I can't do it. We just can't thank you guys. We can't thank you guys enough for spreading it. And Dave Meltzer, I know you don't listen, but Dave Meltzer, thank you for giving us the idea. And he retweeted. Social media was, from one day to the next was up like, I don't know, like 300, 400% from just a normal day of me tweeting to he retweeted a tweet that was seen by over 30,000 people. That tweet was so it's just crazy. It's Dave Meltzer, the guru, Dave Meltzer. So,
so yeah, thanks for downloading and thanks for putting up with all of our weirdness and craziness. It means a lot that you guys listen and apparently enjoy it. So we'll keep on doing it.
And so we're going to start something new now. We do Cool Kids Countdown. I've been trying to get Lance to do, I come up with all these crazy ideas and I have a hard time, I've got to get a guest, then I got to get a guest to probe the pod, and or any other thing that I'm doing. So I decided I want Lance with me for at least an extra Thursday a month or an extra whatever, special episode. So we've batted around the idea and we decided to do an extra Cool Kids Countdown every month. And it will be the first Thursday of every month. You'll get the Cool Kids Countdown and it'll be Lance and Brian do the news. So hold on, Lance. Listen to this.
Very regal and majestic. Very majestic.
Yes, very much so. Okay, Lance, tell them what we're doing. We're not just going to do it like all the other podcasts. Tell them.
Right. So, we can't just do things the normal way because we wanted to do top news stories, but everybody does the news. So we wanted to turn it up a little bit and change it. So everybody else does the news. And so this wonderful world of wrestling that we follow is so bizarre and so weird and so out there that we figured we would do the top weird stories of the month. So we're going to recap rather than doing like the same, this happened at WrestleMania and this happened at New Japan. Everybody's doing that. And if you guys want to listen to somebody do the news, you've got umpteen other outlets that you can listen to. So you don't need us to tell you what happened at WrestleMania a month after the fact. So we thought we would put our crazy spin on the weird stories that happen each month. So we batted around a couple names for this. I like the Jabroni News Network. I don't care what Brian says. So, so we put together a list. This month is obviously for it's kind of retroactive because this all came together like within the last couple days. So we put together a list of some of the more weird stories that happened in April. And going forward, I'm just going to keep notes throughout the course of the month, and we will have truly some of the weird stories of what happened in our wonderful world of wrestling that we follow. And I think we should also include some really weird matches in there too, because, there's still to this day, there's bizarre stipulation matches on the indies that I'm sure we could find one really weird one every single month. Like piranha death matches, for instance.
Well, this is just, it's in a progress. When we started with Shootin The Shiznit, it was something different. And I try to, like I say every once in a while, this is what the show was supposed to be like when it comes to Shootin The Shiznit. Cool Kids Countdown, But yeah, I really, it was easy because we do 10. That's the reason we're doing 10 here. But this will change a little bit. I think we'll still do 10, but I'm like you. I think that before too long, we'll be able to do Asshole of the Month or something like that. So
yeah, work in progress. So this is kind of the pilot episode of the news of the weird. So shall we get started?
All right, let's go.
So, a couple stories, like as usual, a couple stories didn't make the cut. So we have Rosa Mendez talking a return. That was a big deal, of course, in April. And how could we forget, in April, the Kanellis baby. I have to talk about the Kanellis baby. But the Kanellis baby, unfortunately, was not top 10 worthy. So, unfortunately, honorable mention for Kanellis baby. That's right. So, at number 10...
Hey, hold on. Before we start with number 10.
Is this about the Kanellis baby? It better be.
Just for Ed, Kanellis baby. Come on. Kanellis baby.
Ed.
I should get that clip. I'm going to get that clip one day and just play it over and over. Kanellis. You're sitting in the background going, Kanellis baby. Kanellis baby. It's hilarious. All right.
All I got to say about Ed is Ed's comments are bogus, but that's beside the point. So, all right. So at number 10, we have the John Cena and Nikki Bella breakup.
Man, I'm fixing to break the news right here before I've said this, I think, on this podcast or to myself sitting in the house, since I'm alone this weekend. All of this shit was a work, guys. Belzer even spent fucking 3 pages, I think, talking about the Cena breakup here. I say from the start to the finish, this was a fucking work. They were never getting married. They did it at WrestleMania. Really, guys? Come on. Y'all believe that they were actually... They might have been fucking, but they weren't dating. And it's all a big work. That's all I got to say about it. It's all a big work.
I think they were fucking and dating. I'll go that far and say they were actually dating. But, that's funny because we didn't compare notes. And the first thing I jotted down was how much of this is scripted and how much of this is real. So one thing that's kind of funny to me is that now he's free to bang whoever he wants again, just like the old days. And she, for that matter, is as well. And I mean, we've heard stories about both of them. Mickey James, what? Anyway, I think his existence in her life catapulted her to some kind of fame. She can't wrestle. She's just, I don't know. The fellas have never appealed to me. I think that everybody gives Brie a pass because everybody loves Brian. But Nikki just annoys the hell out of me. Will he still be a Bella fella now that this is happening? So anyway, what I think is going to be the most fun of their breakup is the fact that, WWE is like high school locker room mentality, and they're probably going to end up on the same show if the fellas don't retire. So they'll probably put them on the same show so they get stuck looking at each other every week at either SmackDown or Raw. So the Bella-Cena breakup is number 10. At number 9, the topic is no girls allowed.
Oh, my God. I think everyone made a bigger deal about this than it was. To me, it was no big deal in the sense that, the way I compared this, and Conan actually talked about it on his show. Conan was in the military, and he said, when you go to another country that's not your country, you follow by the rules. And I remember, I have friends that's in the service that was in the Marines, and they said the same. They said the same thing. People talk about going to other countries and they bitch and moan. And when my friend goes to another country, he always tries to follow the rules. That's what you do. But just because the girls did not get to go to the show or, there was no women in the crowd or, I mean, look, you've seen the propaganda. I mean, the actual news to where they could drive now. Did you know that I cracked up?
Oh, man. That's
I cracked up so much on that it was just hilarious. But it doesn't bother me, guys. I hear people saying something about all the bombers. I think even my buddy Jim Vicious said this, but he wasn't the only one. The bombers from Saudi Arabia, from Saudi Arabia, 9/11 bombers. Mm-hmm. Guys, there's millions of people. They shouldn't even go to Memphis, Tennessee anymore if it meant for murders. They shouldn't even Chicago. They shouldn't go to Chicago, Illinois anymore. The WWE because a bunch of people were murdered. Whatever. Didn't bother me a bit. We didn't have to sit through a boring fucking girls match.
I am taken aback because I couldn't be more offended by this. So we're in polar opposites here. The hypocrisy of what they did is just so annoying and so arrogant. As a business decision, sure, they were offered whatever it was, $70 million or whatever the case may be. As a business decision, I get it. You're going to take the money and you're going to do the show. But to try and sell it at the same time as you're doing the women's revolution and, you know, all this talk about you did this and you did that for women and you push the boundaries of what's acceptable in entertainment and sports entertainment. Fuck you. You know, it's like, why you can't do both. You can't have it both ways. And, you know, it's like I said in the group the other day, this is a 10-year deal. You know, they look like shit now in 2018. Imagine how bad they're going to look in 2028 after 10 years of this, taking the money and running and by going to Saudi Arabia. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it. If this happened in America, and let's say, for instance, black performers weren't allowed on the show because, well, that's the way it is. It's America, so you can't have black. Oh, my God. They would be taking the biggest heat, and deservedly so. If it was gay performers, if it was, you know, whatever, Latino performers, the fact that they didn't allow women in there is just mind-boggling that still exists in 2018. And say what you will. I mean, if I would have gotten to see a Sasha Banks match or a Ember Moon match, they're not boring matches. So you could say that if you want, but, you know, they can put on good matches. So the blowing up over the fact that a commercial played in the stadium with women on it, oh my God, God forbid. So anyway, I think it was offensive that they threw the women a bone. And the week before the show, they had the women got the main event on Raw. And I think they got the main event the week after the show, too, on Raw. It's like, gee, thanks. Throw us a bone a little bit. And what's interesting, and I know I'm going long on this one, but what's really interesting is the fact that none of the women have piped up and said anything. And it's a shame because they're all afraid of losing their spot, losing their job. If they just express their opinion.
They need to keep their mouth shut, you know. They do it exactly what they're supposed to do, you know.
You don't need to go to Saudi Arabia. You sound like you'd fit right in.
I think I would, you know. Did you listen to... You know what, Tyler Fudge, you know, if you listen to Suplex City Limits from last week, guys, one of the best episodes they've ever done, Tyler Fudge has me just cracking up, laughing, crying, talking about he was going to grab one of those women and take them to his house. So I'm not going to go there, but this did not bother me. I just, you know, all right, number 8.
All right. Number 8, and this is all yours because I don't even know this story, but it's the Jerry Lawler cell phone.
Yeah, you know you're not supposed to. You're supposed to keep kayfabe, Lance. You're supposed to act like you know what you're doing.
Oh, yeah,
unlike me, that most of the time you have all these topics up here, and I just have to, you know, call it the ring kind of thing. Jerry Lawler talked about on his podcast, and this is typical Jerry Lawler. If you guys know anything about him, he was kind of scared about taking his phone with him. So his co-host kind of, you know, and butted around it, but the deal was that Lawler had some pictures on his phone of his underage, well, not underage, young girlfriend. She apparently likes to send him, you know, pornographic photographs. And so he had tons of them on his phone. I don't know if he decided to take them off before he went, which is probably the company line he's saying. But Jerry said he was scared at first to take his phone because, you know, there's no pornographic material there.
Okay, so are we supposed to be shocked that Jerry Lawler has nudes on his phone? I thought you were going to say that he had pictures of himself on his phone. I'm like, now that would be not only shocking, but it would be disgusting. So,
All right.
He's still out there kicking, and he's still out there, and, you know, he's trailblazing as far as picking up the girls on the playground. So good for him, Jerry Lawler.
God.
A legend in Memphis. So, but you're saying that she was legal, right? So this wasn't like a 60.
Yeah, I don't know. I think she's probably one of the oldest he's been with, but isn't the king like 70 by now? So, you know.
Yeah, he's close. So, but good for him that he's still out there kicking. I'm glad that the heart attack did not fell him, and the alleged stroke that he had a couple months ago from during sex, that didn't slow him down either. So anyway, at number 7, we have the legendary Bob Backlund wrestling at age 68 in April.
Wow. Just, you know, I didn't get. Was there any video of this? Because I actually didn't even search it or look at it. But all I could say is, man, 68 years old. I mean, Jerry Lawler's wrestling all the time too. But this apparently he actually wrestled. Lawler has got where all he does is do a few punches and ends the match. But all I could say, wow, go. You know, they say the older you get, the more you move around, the better you'll be able to move around. Instead of setting your ass in a chair all the time like I do. And that's a perfect example of how that actually works when it comes to Bob Backlund, continuously exercising and able to get in the ring at 68 years old. So kudos to him.
Yeah, they always say that, Bob Backlund is one of those health nuts that, you always hear the stories that he runs 6 miles a day and he walks, up 27 flights of stairs and all these different things. But I'll tell you, he seemed like he did 6-man matches in Japan. It was April 20th and 21st, I believe, he did a couple of 6-man matches in Japan. So at least, he was in with other guys, so he probably wasn't in the ring all that much. But boy, it seemed like forever ago since he was Mr. Backlund, in the Bret Hart stuff in WWF at the time. That seems like forever ago, and that seemed like he was ancient, So, and then when he came back for the Darren Young stuff a couple years ago, doing the Make Darren Young Great Again bits, he seemed even older. I mean, obviously he was older, but he seemed like ancient at that point too. So I am just mind blown that he wrestled at 68. And I'm guessing that he probably wrestled in trunks too, because knowing him, he was wrestling in trunks even as recently as some of the stuff he did in WWF. But I mean, I can't imagine. Like you said, kudos to him. Good for him that he's still able to do it at his age, at 68. So speaking of age, at number 6, we have Scott Steiner winning a belt at age 55 in 2018.
And you know what? I absolutely loved it. This match, I got to watch the pay-per-view. Steiner did a Frankensteiner from the top rope. Almost killed him, his damn self. But Konnan told the story that they talked about doing this, and Santana was kidding around in the dressing room about trying to convince him to do it. And then after doing it, Steiner actually told him that it took a hell of a lot out of him to do that. Man, I don't know. I may be everyone's giving Scott Steiner. I've heard people say, I'm not going to watch Impact because Steiner's the tag champion. Good God. I mean, he's one of the most entertaining guys, always has been to me. I thought the last time he was on Impact when he was doing just the comedy, it was hilarious, was during the Big Hardy thing storyline he was doing. I enjoyed the match. I enjoyed him so far, and I've really enjoyed all the stuff he's been doing on the mic, so...
Somebody not watching TNA because of him, that has to be John McAdam. Because any excuse that John McAdam can come up with to not watch TNA, and we call it TNA, and yes, we know it's not officially TNA anymore, but I think it'll always be known as TNA to us. So, but not watching the show because of that's insane. I will say Scott Steiner is definitely a clumsy fuck these days. I mean, there's no way.
Yeah.
I mean, him in the ring, like you said, when I saw that Frankensteiner, I thought for sure he broke something on that move. He broke a collarbone, he broke his neck, he broke a shoulder, something. But he's a clumsy fuck. I loved him back in the day. I thought, before he went crazy, before he lost his mind, he was actually one of my I can't say all-time favorites, but he was one of my top favorites in the 90s because he was so athletic for a big guy. He could move. He was agile. He did the Frankensteiner was probably the first time I'd ever seen that move, but that was 20 years ago. So I do like the comedy stuff with him now, the match formula of the odds of winning the match and, now the parodies of that. But I got to say, TNA putting a belt on him in 2018 has got to be pure comedy. I mean, hopefully him working with Eli Drake, who to me is brilliant comedy. I love that guy on the mic. So this has got to be done for comedy purposes. And I'm looking forward to it. Like you said, I think it'll be entertaining. It's got to be a short-term thing. I don't know the spoilers. I don't know what they taped. I don't know if they lose the belts. But for them to be champs right now has got to be really funny. So kudos to Scott Steiner for pulling off somehow getting a belt in 2018.
All right. We're going to go, as usual, to a commercial. We'll be right back.
80s Tees is the leading online retailer of officially licensed t-shirts, specializing in retro movie, music, TV show, video games, comic book, and cartoon t-shirts. 80s Tees has you covered. They have everything from G.I. Joe, Seinfeld, and Back to the Future, as well as 152 different classic wrestling shirts. Plus, free shipping on all orders over $50. Visit them now at our link, tinyurl.com/STS80stees. That's tinyurl.com/STS80STEES. Visiting them at our link will cost you nothing extra, but it will help support this podcast. Now, back to the show.
All right, we're back at STS Studios. Lance LeVine, we got 5 more to go here.
So at number 5, we have the group discount rate on implants for the WWE.
All right, so you got to tell me who's. I know Alexa Bliss got some new implants. Apparently, the ones that she did have were not up to par or something. Mm-hmm. So, who's the other two? I get those two girls totally mixed up. So,
Billie Kay and Peyton Royce.
You know what? Let me say something about them, and let me just say something about implants altogether. Okay, I'm not a fan. I have had my hands on a really, really expensive set of implants. They were absolutely beautiful, but
what was his name? What was his name?
His name was Bob, but he spent a lot of money on them. Actually, it was it's a stripper story, but she let me fondle them because they were fakes, and I still said that I'd rather fondle the real ones. So, just not my kind of thing. I think the 3 girls, though, I think they look fantastic. I really do. I think the 2, Billie Kay and the other
Royce.
Other girls, what I say, Billie Kay and the other girl. I love that act, by the way. I absolutely love it. I think they suck in the ring, but I love their act. I really do. I'm a fan of their act. But so I'm a fan of the implants for television, but not to touch. So there you go.
We are going to agree to disagree on this show. But anyway, I thought we were in the middle of the women's revolution. What happened? Now all of a sudden they're back to the cosmetic stuff again. Bliss getting hers done. I think that probably was a scientific thing because they needed to balance her out because she's such a short girl and she's got such a big ass. So now she's balanced, so she won't tip over or anything. You know, she's balanced when she walks.
Well, you do know she already had some, right?
Yeah, she got rid of those for bigger ones or something.
Right.
Yeah. So, or maybe, who knows, maybe there's a leak or something and they needed maintenance, but whatever.
I remember when I had a leak this weekend. Is that the same kind of leak?
I hope not. I'll get that hipster broad to wipe your ass too. But the double D conics, as I like to call them, the double D conics getting theirs done. Those women do not appeal to me at all. They look like, first off, the Bellas don't appeal to me. They look like the Bella's ugly cousins. That's what they look like. I know it.
That's what I like about them. The Bella's ugly cousins from overseas. That's what they should. That should have been their gimmick. Damn.
Yeah, their wrestling is nothing special, obviously. The act, I don't know. I feel like been there, done that with the Mean Girls bit and stuff. So, but I just hope that the group rate that they apparently got for all these girls getting their boobs done in April, I hope the group rate was not with Charlotte's plastic surgeon because we all know what he did to her. Hopefully these girls, hopefully these girls don't have the same shoddy workmanship done. So the group discount rate for the Double D Conics and Alexa Bliss at number 5. At number 4 is Alberto Del Rio getting canned again.
Oh, man. You know, I'm a huge fan of this guy, but you know what? Fuck him. He's done everything he could do to piss people off. He went back to Impact, was going to be there. He even spent some time talking to Vince while he was at Impact, bringing him back. Vince is going to be an idiot to bring back Alberto this time. How many times can he shit on people? His response was, I think he said something like, they just couldn't agree to things. The idea was that he was fucking drunk in New Orleans, and he couldn't make it to the ring. So that was it. He couldn't even make it to the building. And so, you know, if I would have been TNA, Impact, whatever, I would have done more. I would have really just, dug a hole for this guy and threw him in it, all the bullshit he's been doing.
I don't know. I think they buried him pretty well. I mean, the first week, when they were doing the live show on Twitch, I think it was on that Friday night, they didn't necessarily bury him really there, but they sure did the following week on TV. They really buried him. And here's what I'm going to say. we've had more than our share of tragedies in wrestling with young deaths and early deaths and drug deaths and you name it. And, murders. And let's not even get into that end of that story. But we've had more than enough tragedy. So believe me, I'm not wishing anything ill will on this guy. I don't want him to die. I don't want him to die early. But I'll tell you what, it sure does look like it's going that way. And like I said, it's too bad because the guy is a colossal fuck up. He just consistently has burned every bridge everywhere that he's worked. If it's not one story, it's another. It's, it was at one point it was family issues. He had to go attend to family issues. Then there was all the Page insanity. I think he was still married to his wife. They were in the process of the divorce or whatever when he was with Paige. I mean, if it's not drugs, it's booze with this guy. He's burned every damn bridge. And it is too bad because believe it or not, I will say, in the right circumstances and the right scenarios, the guy has been entertaining at certain points of his career. I'm not saying I love the guy. He's great in the ring, nothing like that. But there's been a handful of times when he's been good at what they've had him do, whether it's Lucha Underground or some of the WWF stuff originally. So it's too bad. I hope that he does get his shit together before it's too late. Honestly, I do. But he's just such a colossal fuck up. He is the poster boy of fuck ups in pro wrestling.
Whoa, what was that? Was that your dog?
No.
Kick your dog.
I'm going to go wipe my dog's ass. Hold on.
Oh, okay. I want to tell you, the thing about it is this guy, the thing about him was he had that, almost everything he touched for the longest was, it worked. It was a big deal. But he's one of those guys, even now, can be successful with everything. And he is the guy that really just killed my theory about big penis guys. Alberto has like this huge dong. I mean, we get to see it every time he wrestles. So for him to be, I always thought guys with big penises were like successful in life, but he's a total fuck up. So
sorry, fans. We'll go back to talking about boobs in a second.
Oh, all right. Here we go.
Anyway, at number 3, we have the Conor McGregor rampage and arrest on April 5th.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about this. You've always said he's a piece of shit, and I always wondered why you always said it and hated him so much. I always thought he was a draw, and if I was a promoter like Dana White, I would love to have been getting all that money from this guy, but he's a piece of shit. The stuff that he did was just not. I mean, this is. Thug is the best word to say about this guy. He's a fucking piece of shit thug. Anyone that does something like that. Now, if they told this story and it has something to do with his ex-wife or his wife or something like that, I may defend him because I did some crazy shit when I got mad at my ex-wife. But this motherfucker's just nuts. He thinks, and I hope he never, ever fights again. Yep. I as a fan would never give him a cent, and I went to like Buffalo Wild Wings to see 4 or 5 of his fights. Spent money not on the fight, but spent money with Buffalo Wild Wings. So he did draw me there. That would never happen. I hope he never gets to fight again.
What's really funny, you just made me think of something. One of my favorite guys in the world of MMA, one of my absolute favorite guys is Chael Sonnen. And he talks better than just about anybody else in either business, whether it's MMA or wrestling. He's one of the greatest talkers of our day. And Conor is kind of that same type of character. But the difference is with Chael, it's an act, and he's really damn good at it. With this guy, he's just a complete asshole, and it's real. And the shit where, he basically fucked up the UFC 223 card. It was the weirdest incident I think I can remember with any huge celebrity in years. I think it was like the biggest thing that I could think of since like maybe OJ, the whole OJ in the white Bronco fiasco and everything. He threw the cart through the bus window, shattering the glass. And, getting a handful of fighters got injured, so they had to pull out of their fights, and some other fighters had to pull out so they had to mix up the whole fucking card, like the night before the show, basically. Matches were dropped because of this guy. It's like a fucking high school gang mentality with these idiots. You talk some shit, your guy talks some shit about my guy, so I'm going to come fuck you up. Grow up! You're one of the richest people in the fucking world. Grow up, He should have been fired. Dana White should have fucking fired him, but obviously money talks. And the next fight is going to, if it happens, I hope you're right. I hope he doesn't fight again. Because like you said, I've always said the guy's a piece of shit. I've hated him. And I wouldn't pay to go see him fight. I'm sorry. But I hope he's fired. And then, possibly he would obviously get signed by Bellator or whatever. He obviously never has to fight again. At this point of his career, as far as financial aspect of it, he never has to fight again. I kind of hope he doesn't too. So at number 2,
okay. All right, here we Hey,
you got it ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Hold on. Here we go.
And that is, I'm back.
Why? We were so close. So at number 2, Paige leaves and returns.
Oh my God! As always, I've been a Paige mark. I've been an Alberto mark. I'm done with.
Wait, does Paige have a big penis too? Is that what you're saying?
No, I mean we've seen everything about
Paige.
That's
true.
There's no penis there. She just has those really good shooting stuff out her ass.
There were some penises, but they just weren't hers. So what we saw.
The part of that video that bothers me the most is that Brad Maddox is getting as close as he can with that video camera. I mean, he had to be smelling ass, he had to be. So, what the hell? All right, guys, we went to a new low there. But Paige, what is really bad is that I would be excited for her. I was excited for her because she is hurt. She's getting a hell of a good role here, and they're going to keep her under contract. I think that's great. But then she's just horrible. Mm-hmm. That she came during one of her interviews with, I guess it was Daniel Bryan, the one with Shane. She had one with Shane, and it was God. Oh, and her hair was like, I don't know, man. Her hair, and I can talk about people's hair. I'm bald. But her hair in the back was sticking up. It looked like someone had, the cartoon where the cartoon's hair is like standing up in the back, and it's longer than the actual body. I mean, I was thinking that maybe someone just came up behind her and stuck some extra hair back there.
No, I think Maddox or one of those guys got jizz in her hair. That's probably what it was.
Oh, that was it. But just god awful. Paige makes, she at least gives me and you something to talk about. But this is bad.
I thought I was done with her. I was so excited. I thought it was over. I thought finally no more Paige on my TV every week. Make her, I understand she's hurt. Give her some other title. Give her some other job behind the scenes. Make her, I don't want to say make her a coach because she would coach them into, early porn careers or drug careers or whatever. But do something with her behind the scenes until the movie comes out and then get the fuck off. Get her out of there because she's a PR nightmare. I thought she had the nice send-off on Raw. It was the heartfelt, tearful farewell that she was injured. She was going away. And then 24 hours later, I get the I'm back. Again, I get the I'm back from her. I can't deal with it. So, and then storyline, how does any of that make sense? It's like, I know, kayfabe, but in storyline, well, Shane, Daniel is back on the regular roster now, so we have to have a new GM. So let's go with Paige. Like, why? What has she ever fucking accomplished? I mean, in storyline, it makes zero sense whatsoever. I thought for sure that was going to be the entree to get Hogan back or, something. I mean, not that I'm dying for Hogan to come back. Fuck, the Kanellis baby. The Kanellis baby would be a better GM than Paige. But you're right. Paige just as that role is just such an ill-fitting spot for her to be in that role. So hopefully it's short-lived. Maybe Absolution beats the shit out of her or something, and then they get her off TV altogether. Let that fucking movie come out already with her life story, and then we'll be done with her forever, hopefully. So anyway, that brings us to number 1. Our number 1 weird story of April. Our number 1 weird story is the Titus O'Neil incident.
Oh my God! Me and the wife both we were laughing so hard. I had tears under my eyes and I couldn't breathe at one point because we seen him come into the ring and then you don't see him and I said, what the fuck just happened? And she said, I don't know, and he gets it. So you see him in the ring, and then all of a sudden they just keep playing it over and over. And Corey was laughing. Cole, they all were laughing so hard. And Corey it was either Corey or Cole that said it was the greatest thing he'd ever seen in his life. Right. they just kept playing it over and over. No, I want to say something, okay? I thought it was one of the funniest things ever, and I'm so super glad that he did not hit that ring. Oh, yeah. He's so lucky, or he would have knocked himself completely out. He could have hurt himself, really, but he's always been this, in my mind, this big, clumsy guy anyway. Yeah. And you think about, what he did, the hugged Vince McMahon and did the chest bump thing and got suspended. I'm like, this guy's got the worst luck ever. Apparently, when he came backstage after being eliminated, he was really down about it. He was shaking his head and was like, oh, God, I'll be the butt of all jokes. And apparently one of the vets, Rey Mysterio, pulled him to the side and said, dude, just go with the flow kind of thing. You made a mistake, and it'll help get you over. They were just trying to help him. So I was really disappointed in what they did Monday night with it. I would have had somebody else fall down or something.
I think, obviously, this is probably the best pratfall and slapstick thing we've seen since Shockmaster. I mean, that's what reminded everybody of was Shockmaster falling through the wall in WCW like 20 years ago. So, honestly, this, like you said, I couldn't breathe. I'm watching it as everybody, and they kept playing it over and over again. And Corey Graves, who was my spirit animal, just the fact that he was laughing so much at it, too. I thought it was just phenomenal. It looked so good. It looked like it was a work. I honestly thought for a while, I'm like, wait, was that the plan? This is wrestling. Everything is fake. Everything is planned. That had to be a work. That had to be planned because it looked so good. The trip looked so good. And like you said, there was no injury, so all is good fun. It's all good fun because he didn't get hurt. I didn't see anything anywhere near where he went under the ring. So it looked like he was pretty safe as far as hitting his head. But you're right. Had he hit, he could have broken his neck going under there, that angle and at that speed that he did. So the guy has become a star due to his fucking clumsiness, So I think, honestly, you said, he went in the back and he felt bad. They're going to be selling shirts with something to do with, the fall of Titus or whatever. They're going to come up with some name for it. Titus World Slide or something.
They already got one. Yeah, I can't remember what it is. They already got it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Well, I heard somebody say Titus World Slide, and I think they may use that. So, I mean, the guy's going to end up making money off of it. So hopefully he can laugh at himself because he certainly became the #1 weird news story of the month for us in April.
All right, guys, thanks for joining us. As Lance and I do the news, it's going to be once a month, the first Thursday of the month or the first Friday ever. Or, hey, it's coming out Saturday this week. Like I said on Twitter, you guys will get 2 episodes within 7 days. How's that? That's the best way we can do it. Lance, thanks for joining us. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Thanks again for downloading the Meltzer episodes so many times. Really, it was just one kid out in Montana pushing a button, but
over and over for days.
Over and over for days. No, thanks, guys. We do appreciate that. Remember, we'll be right here, same bat time, same bat channel, on the best little wrestling podcast in the business. The Mama.
I love his llama, and that is not bestiality. That's his deal, not mine.
Be there. All right. Hey, man, that went good. Hey, thank you for joining us live from SDS Studios in St. Louis, Missouri. And that was another great episode of Shootin The Shiznit. A big thank you to Bob McGee at Pro Wrestlers Between the Sheets, PWBTS.com. Locals to Legends, Gene Jackson at www.localstolegends.com. Sean Garmer over at W2Mnet.com. Guys, we're at Comic Book Bark BT on Twitter, at BT Shootin The Shiznit on Instagram. You can send a PayPal. That's right, a PayPal at Brian_Tramel, Tramel, at yahoo.com. All the archives are on our www.stspod.club page. That's right, Cool Kids Wrestling and MMA Talk Facebook group. You can join that and talk about wrestling. If we don't like you, we'll kick you out. There's also a Shootin The Shiznit Facebook page where we actually post all the new episodes Remember, you can listen to this episode and many more on iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM, Pod Paradise, and Spreaker. And finally, a shout out to our podcast bros: Suplex City Limits, Creative Control, Who's Right Podcast, P3 Radio, and guys, remember, keep it at 100. Patreon site is only $1. Help my buddy JoJo out there. Only $1. Join us next week for another great episode of Shootin' the Shiznit.